एष देवो विश्वकर्मा महात्मा सदा जनानां हृदये सन्निविष्टः स्वाराज्य साम्राज्य विभूतिरेषा भवत्कृपा श्रीमहिमप्रसादात् प्राप्ता मया श्रीगुरवे महात्मने नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमस्तस्मै सदैकस्मै कस्मै चिन्महसे नमः यदेतद्विश्वरूपेण राजते गुरुराजते यदेतद्विश्वरूपेण राजते गुरुराजते। हरि जय गुरु। So we are at the last of the 20 qualities, the last two. I wanted to chant, but I am afraid the voice will break, so let us not chant today. The 11th shloka we will chant. Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam Tattva-Jnanartha-darshanam Etad-Jnanamiti proktam Ajnanam yadatonyatha. So the last one is very important because all other things are actually personality qualities, as I explained. Each quality I have explained and showed that how that quality becomes a natural expression of knowledge. That if the knowledge of our true identity is there, that universal identity is there, automatically all these personality qualities will flow. They are basically all secular qualities, you can say. Only non-secular it is becoming at this point, at the last, where we are talking about Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam. It is also secular, but you can say it is not the usual behavioral qualities people speak about. Adhyatma, Adhyatmic Vidya, people are not generally interested in. So in this last point, they have mentioned two things, that Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam and Tattva-Jnanartha-darshanam. These two we have to understand very well. Now, yesterday I said that in the 8th chapter, 3rd verse, Krishna has explained what is Adhyatma. In a simple word, just half the shloka, he said, Swabhavo Adhyatmam Uchyate. Swabhavaha Adhyatmam Uchyate. What is called Adhyatma? Swabhavaha. What is Swa? Means the self. Bhava means the expression of that. That means what I really am, that is who am I. Always we have been discussing about the Atma, Atma, Atma. So what is the prakasha of the Atma? How the Atma gets manifested and what is the real nature of the Atma? I also said that there are two things in Swabhava. One is what is the real nature, the pristine nature of the Atma. that is common to everybody. There is no difference at all, because that Atma is universal. So there is no person to person difference here. But that same Atma is getting manifest through our body mind personality. When it is getting manifest through our body mind personality naturally, spontaneously, in its own harmony, then that bhava also is called swabhava. That is, suppose we are given to, a person is very much given to music, and his whole being is soaked in music. But to earn money, he takes to information technology. It is the desire for the money, we are changing our swabhava. We are not following the swabhava. Because the consciousness, as it is expressed through our body mind personality, what is the natural expression? This natural expression is always getting disturbed, hindered by our desires. So when we become free of desires, then it becomes absolutely natural, spontaneous. We use the word there, sahaja. Sahaja means whatever is spontaneous, easy, natural. It is called sahaja. That is why it is said the knower becomes sahaja. A knower becomes sahaja. That means he is no longer getting deviated by any attraction, repulsion, raga, dvesha. Basically, everywhere we have to remember in Bhagavad Gita, raga, dvesha are the main. They are like the two poisonous teeth of the snake. In our Shastras, it is described like that. Fangs, the two poisonous fangs of a snake. If raga, dvesha are eliminated, then the whole thing it becomes pure and natural. Now, if we remove that desire or the other raga, dvesha disturbance from our personality, then the personality flourishes with its own natural tendencies. That is also called swabhava. In 18th chapter, he has mentioned it as swadharma. And also corresponding to that, whatever karma he does is mentioned as swakarma. But when we go to the real nature of our self, original self, it is same for all. It is swabhava, the nature of our self. That is not different for different people. In practice, what does it mean? This is called the Adhyatma-Jnana. That is, first of all, to know what is the self which is common to everybody, that is, which is the universal one, transcendental self. And then it becomes to know how that self will be expressed naturally through functions. It is just like allowing the flower to blossom. A flower, in blossoming of a flower, there is no desire involved. Whether anybody sees or not, in Himalayas, in the absolute seclusion, the most beautiful flowers blossom. Nobody may see. It may say that, oh, tomorrow nobody is coming to see me, so I will blossom only day after tomorrow. If it is motivated by desire, it may say like that. It doesn't. So it is natural blossoming of a flower. Like that, our personality is also like a flower. With its own, a red flower will blossom like a red flower. A white flower will blossom a white flower. Seeing the red, the white will not say that let me become red because people seem to be appreciating the red more. So I shall also become red. Or a small grass flower, it doesn't say that, it doesn't think that I will become like the big dahlia or the big rose because people appreciate big and red, all those things. If you look at it, you will find that the grass flower, the small grass flower is no less beautiful than the big dahlia or the rose which we worship and which we keep in our drawing room. The grass flowers are also equally beautiful. Only we don't look at them. That is our partiality. We are always after big things. What do you call it? Gaudy things, etc. So it is the personality also. Some personality may have certain tendencies, some other personality may have some other tendencies. Some will become very famous maybe. Some others are not famous. But all will blossom to its full. When this desire element is taken away, then each personality will blossom like a flower, the natural blossoming of a flower. That is what Bhagavad Gita in 18th chapter has mentioned as Swadharma and Swabhava Karma, etc. That it is not hindered by any other extraneous force like desire or so. Now, in practice, what is this Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam? Nityatvam means always. Always, every moment, be given to Adhyatma-Jnana. What does it mean in practice? We have to understand. Otherwise, how are we going to pursue the sadhana? खोल कर बताएं क्या? बताना है? वो किसी के मन में चोट पहुंचेगा. पहुंचना नहीं चाहिए, समझना चाहिए. सत्य को समझना चाहिए. चोट पहुंचता है तो भी समझना चाहिए. In our Gurudev Baba's room, where he was, जो हमारे गुरुदेव जिस कमरे में रहते थे बाबा, उस कमरे में घुसने से ही पहले दिखाई देगा एक बड़ा सा नोटिस बोर्ड जैसा, फ्रेम किया हुआ फोटोग्राफ जैसे रखते हैं वैसा फोटोग्राफ जैसा रखा हुआ था, और उसमें बड़ा बड़ा करके प्रिंट करके बहुत सुंदर से लिखा हुआ है, कम टू ए मैन ऑफ बिजनेस, टॉक ऑफ बिजनेस, फिनिश योर बिजनेस, leave the man of business to his own business. Come to a man of business, talk of business, finish your business, leave the man of business to his own business. I liked it very much. So that, Baba, shall I keep a copy of this with me? No. You are now young. You don't need it. You will need it later. Now I have to put it because people come and they talk so many things. What shall I do? I cannot speak much. I have become old. Let them speak only little. That is enough. So I have to put it. You don't put it now. But you keep it. He gave me 2-3 copies of that printout he had. I don't know where they are, but I kept it at that time, but never had the occasion to put it. So if we talk about business, that means khol kar batana. Wahi hai arth. See, so many people are doing japa, sadhana, puja, etc. for years and decades, 40 years, 50 years, 80 years. But this is one field where they don't apply their common sense. Why am I saying? सोचिए कि आप भोजन कर रहे हैं, आप खा रहे हैं, 1 घंटा हो गया, बहुत खा लिया, इतना सारा जो कुछ बनाया था, पकाया था, सब कुछ खा लिया, फिर भी पेट नहीं भर रहा. Your hunger is not satiated. You are eating. Will you not question your eating that ये खा के क्या होगा, इसमें तो कोई सेटिस्फेक्शन नहीं आ रहा, हमारा पेट नहीं भर रहा? पूछेंगे नहीं. आप आ रहे हैं, चल रहे 2 दिन हो गया, CIRD नहीं पहुँचे हैं, तो आप पूछेंगे कि नहीं ये रास्ता सही है कि नहीं, कहीं और तो हम नहीं चले, whether the path is all right or not. किसी भी चीज़ में, because right from birth we are seeing everything follows causality, cause and effect relation. So if the cause is there, the effect should come. If the effect doesn't come, we question the cause and we set right the cause. Is it not so? Only in this field of spirituality we never question our effort. पूजा करते आ रहे हैं, बचपन में शुरू किया है, 60 साल बीत गए हैं, एक ही चीज़ करते आ रहे हैं. क्या हुआ? भगवान 2 स्टेप आपके पास आया, या आप 2 स्टेप भगवान के पास गए हैं, या मन में कुछ इम्प्रूवमेंट हुआ है कि जैसे लगता है कि मन में अभी भगवान का कुछ स्पर्श मिलता है. कोई नहीं सोचेंगे, कोई नहीं पूछेंगे, वो कुछ कोई बता दिया है, जप करते जा रहा है, या पूजा करते जा रहे हैं. Why this lack of, what shall I say, common sense? Is it not common sense? Why don't we apply the common sense there? That I am doing something without any result. Should we not question that? Mantra. Many people do mantra japa. Mantra, the word means mananat trayate iti mantra. Mananat trayate. That means जिसको मनन करने से उसके द्वारा वर्ल्डलीनेस चला जाएगा. त्रायत मीन्स त्राण मिलेगा. जो सफरिंग है, एफेक्टेशन है, हमारे मन में जितना सफरिंग है, एफेक्टेशन है, उससे छुटकारा मिलेगा. मननात् त्रायते इति मंत्रः. खाली साउंड को लेके खाली जप करते जाना या माला को लेके और वो शब्द को उच्चारण करते हुए जाने से उसको मंत्र नहीं बोलते हैं, नहीं कहा जाता है. Well, there will be some effect. Suppose ants are crawling on a stone for years and decades and so. If you find that there will be a little mark-like thing, if you go on producing the sound, some effect it will have. But what effect you should know, whether you are having any effect or not, you should see. That also nobody sees. Now, that means that whatever mantra has been given, suppose you have been given Namah Shivaya. You go on saying Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya. Are, what is this Namaha and what is this Shiva? Shiva means auspiciousness. Shiva actually means Atma. That is why when the Shiva goes, we say Shava. The body, inert body is called Shava. And the living element, the conscious element, we say generally Shiva. Shiva actually means the Atma. Shantam Shivam Advaitam, we say. The Atma. Shantam Shivam Advaitam. Advaitam I have already explained. Shivam means that is the auspiciousness and that is the real Shanta. There is no agitation at all. Now, while saying Namah Shivaya, what does Namaha mean? Prostration. हम प्रणाम करते हैं, नमन करते हैं. उसका अर्थ है कि मन में एक ह्यूमिलिटी लाना. ह्यूमिलिटी को हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं? नम्रता, विनम्रता, विनय. क्यों आएगा ह्यूमिलिटी? जब when we think of the Lord, this creator of the entire universe, whether there is such a Lord or not, when we think of the universe where from this creation has come, the truth, should we not bow down to this greatness? If we really think of it, our mind, our intelligence will bow down. If we know more and more about anything, the more we know, the more humble we become. If the knowledge increases, humility also will increase, because we come to know that whatever we know, much more than that remains unknown. Any real scientist you will find they are very humble. Real scientists who have given to it. They may know many things. The more they know, the more they become humble. They understand that we don't know anything at all. We are only playing with some little things. So, when we are saying Namaha, is our mind prostrating in humility? Nobody thinks that. It happens. Actually, if it's really the gratitude, the namrata, it is generated in our being, then we will feel as if melting, as if getting flat on the floor. Suppose cloth is there which is dry. If you keep it, it will stand like this. But if you make it wet, agar pani se bhinga dete hain, you see that it cannot stand straight. It will fall on the. Like that, when our mind is soaked with gratitude, with humility, you will find that there is a feeling of melting in us. So, this Namaha is melting, and Namaha, we are thinking of what we are melting? Of Shiva, the ultimate auspicious goal. You call it Atma or the creator of the universe. Now, if this bhava, this is called bhava, if this bhava is not generated in the mind, then the mantra will not have its effect. It will have only minuscule effect. So, when we really take to spirituality, Adhyatma-Jnana, now what is this Swabhava? What is this Atma? We have defined that Aham Pratyaya Gocharaha, which we know from, which we have that conviction that I am, that amness in us. That is I we are referring to, which is revealing everything. As I said, initially we may feel I am the body, but it is not so. I am the observer of the body. I am the perceiver of the body. Similarly, I am the observer of the mind. I am the observer of my emotions. So the real I is something different. The real I is revealing the external world, revealing the internal world of thoughts, emotions, and it should reveal itself also. That is why I know that I am. Now, if this is what I is, and what is this Atma we are Adhyatma-Jnana we are talking about? That Atma is universal. It never gets affected by anything. It can never be limited, fragmented. It is all pervading. Then what is this knowledge of this? If we have to pursue it, then what should be our first step in spirituality? The first step would be that always the focus is outward. In our interactions, in our daily life, the focus is always outside. When we put our first step on the path of spirituality, that focus has to be inverted. It has to become inward. This we have already discussed. I am just repeating. Because so far in religion or in puja, etc., I have been thinking of a God somewhere in the sky. But in spirituality, it is not like that. I have been inquiring, what is this God? Whether he is there or not. And the moment the inquiry starts, we find that everything in the world is my perception. So the God is also my concept. So looking for the God, we have to look within. And what does the religion say also? The religion, most of the religions of the world, we don't follow the religion also. That God is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. Is it not so? This is very common in all the religions, I believe. God is omnipotent, omnipresent. Now, if God is really everywhere he is present, then does it need for us to go to the temple to worship or go to the puja room only to worship? Does it not mean that we are misbehaving, Babhichara there? That I am thinking God is only in the idol and he is not just on the right of the idol or left of the idol. I am not denouncing puja or going to the temple. Because normally you are in the active world, so you don't remember God. So when you go to the puja room or go to the temple, you remember God. So that way it is fine. But you should be aware of the fact that God is not there. God is everywhere. And where you can feel, if God is to be realized, if you understand that God can be known, he can be felt, where can he be felt? It can only be felt within us because we don't feel anything outside. The feeling can be only inside. So we have to understand that what within us is not allowing us to feel the God within. So, the first step is to reverse our focus, that invert our focus. Suppose something happens, immediately our focus is on the event. And we want to either shout about it or get attracted by it, get repelled by it, develop raga or develop dvesha about the event. So, the focus is on the event. Why it has happened? Or, oh, is it there? Let me take it. Both way. Raga and Dvesha both operate there. Now, if you are a spiritual seeker, then right in the beginning, what we have to do is change the focus from the event to the response, the inner response, the response of our mind to the event, to the situation. Suppose there is something wrong. Immediately focus should be that why am I getting affected? Why my mind is getting affected? Remember my example of Buddha Deva, as I said, that somebody is abusing. Immediately we return his abuses. But should we? A spiritual person will immediately look into himself and see that my mind is reacting to this. What he is saying, is there any truth? Then I must correct. If there is no truth, should I react? Or rather, I should if at all, I should be sympathetic to think that what has gone wrong with the man that he is speaking like this today. Let me find out. So, these things will come up. You will be able to you will be able to transform your mind, intelligence, emotion, personality only when you are first watchful about it. Only when we come to know it. And for that, this inversion of the focus is the first step, an extremely important step. You must see how am I reacting to the situation. Not only that, many people talk about the behavior because people are mostly involved with that behavior. Whenever we hurt somebody, we don't like to hurt. So we think that again I have hurt him. I should not the next time. But again you may not be him, somebody else you hurt again. The hurtful behavior is coming. And you will find that however much you may say that I will not do, you again commit it. Now our watchfulness is coming only, normally that watchfulness also will not be there. We will go on blaming people, shouting at people, abusing people without having any consciousness about it, awareness about it. But when the watchfulness comes, then also it is external watchfulness. When the behavior has come out, we have already displayed the behavior, then only we are aware of it. Is it not so? Is the behavior not an effect of some cause? Any behavior, it is effect of some cause. To apply any correction, if you try at the effect, it will not be effective at all. Suppose you want to change the flow of the Ganges. At Gangasagar, Ganges is more than 20 miles wide. If you try to push the water and shift it, will you be able to do? It is impossible, nobody can do. But where the Ganges is coming out in trickle, it's just a stone through that Gomukha, that water is flowing down. If you make some arrangement of stone and allow it to flow some other direction, the whole flow will undergo a change. Everything will change. So, any correction or change or transformation or modification, if it is applied at the causal point, then it will be very efficient and effective. About that, we should not have any doubt at all. Is it not so? So in this case, when the behavior is coming out, behavior is actually an effect of the thought. Is it not? When some thought is there, then the behavior comes out. So rather than being watchful about the behavior, it will be much more efficient if we be watchful about our thought. If I am hurting people, abusing people, that means hurtful thoughts, abusive thoughts are there in my mind. संशय है कोई इसमें? So, however much you try to change the outside behavior, it will not be successful. You watch the thoughts. Why this? What are these hurtful thoughts? What are these abusive thoughts? What are these blaming thoughts? Where is this raga dvesha element, hateful element in me? Why it is coming? You try to apply the treatment there. And in most of the cases, you will find that it is a very partial vision, very constricted vision. Because of that, the mind is generating these thoughts. To correct them, you have to provide the mind liberal thoughts, liberal viewpoint, everything. See, the feed of the mind is thoughts. Just like the body, the nourishment comes from food. The nourishment of the mind will come from good thoughts, good ideals, good vision. Any doubt? Similarly, the nourishment from the intelligence will come from subtle analysis, understanding of subtle things. For that, you have to activate your intelligence. That is what we call viveka. The buddhi has to be given the viveka buddhi. That is why we have in our shastras so many kinds of vivekas. Chit jada viveka, atmana atma viveka, kshetra kshetrajna viveka, like this. They are all called viveka because it is an analysis which will activate your buddhi and which will always tell your buddhi that where lies the auspicious goal and where lies inauspiciousness. Where lies the universality, where lies the constriction, where lies selfishness. So the buddhi will constantly analyze and it will become very facile for the buddhi to understand where lies expansion, where lies inner strength, where lies love, where lies compassion. Everything will be understood. So these nourishments have to be provided to the buddhi, to the mind, transform our mind, intelligence, emotional complex. Now, when you are observing the thoughts, then also you will find after some time that you are struggling, but the thoughts are really not undergoing change. So, we say that thoughts are also effect. To make it more efficient, we have to go to the further causal level, that is, deeper causal level. We call it the mindset or bhava. Mindset. That means the mind has got some qualities. Suppose there is a iron ball. If the iron ball is red hot, then it will radiate red rays. If you heat it further, then it will radiate blue or white, whatever. Whatever its constituent, according to that, the radiation will take place. Like that, if my mindset is a liberal mindset, then you will find all liberal thoughts are coming. If my mind is a selfish mindset, constricted mindset, all thoughts will be jealous, envious, selfish, blaming, etc. So rather than trying to work upon the thoughts, catch hold of each thought and working, it's very difficult. You will not be able to be aware so much to catch hold of the thoughts when they're coming. You can practice for some time, you will understand the beauty of it. If you sit for 1 hour and can do this practice, it's a beautiful practice which will give you immense knowledge about your own mind. But it is not possible to always point out each thought, catch hold of it and analyze and remove. It's not possible. So the simplest method we have taken in spirituality, where we treat the mindset, so the fragmented mindset, the selfish mindset, the constricted mindset, we transform that mindset and make it liberal, uniform, universal, expanded. How? By constantly contemplating on the soul, on the Atma, which is universal, which is unaffected, which is unfragmented. How it happens? It is very simple. Whatever you interact with, that quality is imbued. Suppose one ball is moving, another ball is standing. When the moving ball hits the standing ball starts moving. How? Because it has taken the energy from here. If you stay with an agitated person, out of no reason you will find that within hours or within a few days you have also become agitated. If you stay with a very peaceful person, you will find that suddenly peace has dawned in your mind, all the disturbing thoughts have gone and you are peaceful. Whatever we are interacting with, the mind collects, not only mind, it is true of everything. Through interaction, always there is an exchange of qualities. And those qualities are gained. So, if the mind, because the mind right from birth has been interacting with only fragmented objects and always with the raga-dvesha of our mind, even in childhood, this toy I like, this toy I doesn't like, I do not like. Or the toy I like has been taken away by my brother, so I start crying. Everywhere it is that raga-dvesha and bhaya. That what I like has been taken away by my brother, so I start crying. So right from childhood, we are only, the mind is given to small fragmented raga-dvesha thinking, small objects, interacting with them and constantly hosting the raga-dvesha about these things, hatred and attraction and repulsion. So the mind has contracted so much of raga-dvesha and fragmentation and selfishness and whatnot. That mind has to be made liberal, expanded, infinite, uniform, unaffected. So what do? You now start interacting with the concept of the Atma. What is that Atma? The Atma is universal. It is never affected by anything. It's not touched by any qualities at all. It only reveals. So, by constant contemplation of this truth, constantly thinking about this truth, ruminating on this truth, what will happen to your mind? It will become like Atma. Is it not so? The more and more you do, the mind will get transformed into Atma. It is such a simple 1 plus 1 is to 2. It is such a simple science. I can call it technology also. There is no science in it. Simple technology. So, this Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam is a practice for transformation of our internal being. And that is effected through the deliberation on this truth, on Atma, about the Adhyatma. That is Swabhavo Adhyatma Uchyate. Swabhava, that is the Atma, the Bhava of the Atma. That constantly thinking about the Atma, and in our interaction also, whenever we are behaving in a small manner, we have to incorporate these ideas of the comprehensive vision. Yesterday I showed that Bhagavad Gita mentions about 3-4 kinds of, what is that? First is the samatva buddhi, that we are always clinging to something and hating something. But to make the mind ready to accept both. Suppose you are anxious about failing in the exam. Make the mind ready, not that you have to fail, but make the mind ready to accept the failure. The readiness of the mind should be to accept the failure. For that, you do anything, you superimpose on you that I have failed, my father is slapping me, he has asked me to go out of the house, I have gone away, I have no job, nothing, I am wandering in the street. Anything you can think of. But the point is, you accept that situation in your mind. ठीक है, जाएंगे, क्या है? Next year I will be with the younger people, the other students will ridicule me, maybe they will laugh at me. I will accept it. What is there to laugh at? I have failed. Let them laugh. I will accept it. Can we not do it like this? By that, what will happen? The fear for failing in the exam will go, and by that your performance also will be better. If the anxiety and the fear is kept away, the performance will definitely improve. But that is the business part of it. The business part of it we can leave. What I am preparing is that Adhyatma-Jnana, we are preparing the mind with samatva. This samatva is there in the Atma. Atma is nothing but sama. Because it only reveals. It reveals the filth. When there is a wrong thought in the mind, the Atma reveals it. When there is a good thought in the mind, the Atma reveals it. By that, the Atma doesn't get polluted. It is just like the sunlight revealing a garbage, sunlight revealing a rose. When the rose is revealed, the sunlight does not become fragrant or beautiful. When the garbage is revealed, the sunlight does not become putrefied. It is only revealing. That is the nature of the Atma. That is what we are. So, that we are, that you can reinforce through anything. That will increase your Atma, that Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam. For that we take the help of the meditation also. In meditation, what do? We reach a state where, just like suppose a sunlight is revealing quite a few objects. You remove one after another, you remove the objects. When all the objects have been removed, will not the sunlight still be there? Now, you will not be able to see the light. You will be able to see the sun, because that is the object. Because when sunlight is reflected by some object, the object is seen. The light we don't see. The other day also I told this. Suppose in the space, from the sun, light is coming to the earth. You see the earth bright, or the moon bright, and the sun bright. But on the path, it is all darkness. Because you don't see the sunlight. Suppose sunlight is coming from the sun to the earth. You are looking from here. You don't see the sunlight. It cannot be seen. Only when there is an object on the path that will scatter the light, you will see that object. Like that, the Atma also, when it is expressed, manifest through somebody, we are coming to know of it. As such, we will not be able to know. But it is always there as long as we are living. It is there like the sunlight, self-luminous light. Just think of the objects, like the objects, our thoughts, whatever objects we are seeing, external objects, or the thoughts. Remove one after another everything. One after another, whatever is revealed by my consciousness, remove them. That is what is happening in sleep also. All the objects are removed. But here we have to do it consciously. Remove all the objects. Objects means external. Now I don't have to repeat again that the external universe is also actually what we are perceiving is the internal universe. That is the external universe as appearing in our mind. So all the objects are internal, truly speaking. So remove one after another, one after another. When all are gone, the light, the consciousness, it still remains, it doesn't go. Now, whatever happens in the mind, we call it vritti. Vritti. Vritti means anything. Suppose you are seeing an object. That object is appearing in your mind, in your consciousness. That is the vritti of the object. When there is no object but you are thinking of something, that is the vritti. That is, you are thinking of the office. That office thought is a vritti. Or you say you are thinking of self. Say, whatever idea you have about Atma, that concept is a vritti. If you are thinking of Brahman, you have formed some concept of Brahman from the Shastras itself. That is called the Brahma vritti. Or it is also called Brahmakara vritti. That is Brahma Akara vritti. Actually, Brahman doesn't have any Akara. But that formlessness is also a form. As different multiple forms are forms, like that when we are thinking of something formless, that thought of formlessness is also a sort of a form. So it is called Brahmakara vritti. Now the truth dawns when that Brahmakara vritti also subsides. So that the self, only the light of the self, that reveals itself. Now it is always there behind our mind. Normally, we don't know it because of our habit. Because right from birth, we are given to see things as object. Always our focus, suppose this glass. We are seeing the glass, but this glass is revealed by my consciousness. We miss the consciousness but see the glass. The book. We see the book, but the book is revealed by my consciousness. But we are not aware of the consciousness. Our focus is on the book. Similarly, suppose thought we are coming to know. There is a good thought. Immediately the focus is on the good thought. There is a bad thought, focus is on the bad thought. There is a mother's thought, the focus is on the mother. But the consciousness which is revealing the thoughts, that is always missed. But unless it reveals everything, will we know? Can we not understand that? That we will not be able to know unless the thoughts are revealed. Similarly, when we are in deep sleep, or suppose better will be, suppose, I don't know, those who had some spell of unconsciousness, if in accident or so, suddenly if you become unconscious, when you get back your consciousness, you will feel that there was a break. You may not know the time you were unconscious, but there was a break that you will know that I was unconscious for a while. That there is a break when I could not know anything, did not know anything. So, you know that you did not know anything. There was no object, no thought, no concept to be revealed. So nothing was revealed, but this nothingness or the vacuum you have known. Unless that conscious light was there to reveal, would you have known this vacuum? This shunyata, you would not have known. समझ में नहीं आ रहा हमने पहले भी बताया ना बौद्ध that Buddha's opinion was it is all the ultimate truth is vacuum, there is nothing, nothingness is the truth. So Shankaracharya says that nothingness, who is coming to know? To see the nothingness, you are there, your consciousness is still seeing that. Otherwise, how can you say nothingness? Nobody can say that he was not there, then his statement cannot be accepted. If he was not there, how can he say? So to see the nothingness, he had been there. So he said, it is not shunya, it is purna. That your self is filling everything, there is nothing else. The self is the reality. So this is the Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam. How you make it Nityatva? Because in all your interactions everywhere, every time you incorporate this expanded vision, comprehensive vision, this unaffected vision, that when you are getting affected by a situation, you know that the mind has undergone so many affectation, but it has still remained like that. And whatever affectation, dukkha the mind has, I am not going to be bothered by it. I can embrace the dukkha also. Because I have that stable I-ness which is revealing the dukkha, revealing the suffering, that I am. If you shift your identity like that, you will find that you are able to welcome dukkha also. As I explained quite a few times about that in reading novels, seeing film, everywhere we are doing it. But in our own case, we are getting attached and we are not able to apply it. See, when you are reading some pathetic pathos, seeing some tragic film, there you are not getting affected. You are enjoying the dukkha, enjoying the suffering. Why don't you think about this illustration more and more? It will give lot of clarity. There you are enjoying the suffering being shown on the film or in the novel. Enjoying means in a different sense. You may shed tears, but you are enjoying, otherwise you would not have seen. But why is it that when it is the same thing is happening in our family, in my life, I am not able to have that detachment, that enjoyment? Because there my desire, my consequences, everything I have fused with that. But in the other case, I am watching the film. And as a sakshi, as a witness, I have no problem. So I can be the witness for everything happening in our life. The I is actually a witness. And Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam means constantly cultivating this witness in us and getting associated, identified with that witness. There are various practices for that also. That you watch the thoughts. You sit somewhere in a quiet room and you watch the thoughts without getting involved with the thoughts. This is a common practice. Anybody can do. Great will be the effect. If you really seriously do, those who are serious seekers, it will produce great result. I mean, almost you will become a knower, experientially, almost. What is it? Generally, the moment my boss's thought has come, I am fighting with the boss. Or my employee's thought has come, I am scolding him. Or my mother's thought has come, something I am interacting with. That is, whatever thought is coming in my mind, rising in my mind, I start moving with the thought. Is it not so? Here, what you have to do is not to move with the thought, but watch. Sakshi Bhava. You see, this thought has come, gone down. If you don't move, it will not stay for a long time. It has come, gone down. Another thought has come, gone down. Suppose a bad thought has come. Don't say that, oh, this is a... Suppose you see in the thought has come that I will murder my mother. You should not react to that. Well, the thought is that I will murder my mother or anything very bad. But if you react to that, means you have got involved with the thought. You have got involved with it. So you cannot react. The thought has come, bad thought has come, it will go. Good thought has come, it will go. So keep watching like that and see what happens. If you succeed, initially you will not succeed because you will find again and again the mind is going with it. Now, once I had written something to Baba, so he wrote to me in a postcard that think of a dead babul tree. Babul tree जानते हैं? कांटा वाला जो पेड़ है. Think of a dead babul tree standing on the bank of a river. Why dead? Because there's no leaves, nothing. It doesn't move by itself. It's standing still. Through the river, some in boat, so many people are passing. One marriage party is going. They're dancing. There is music, dholak, सब कुछ बज रहा है, सब कोई जा रहे हैं. The babul tree does not get into the river and go to that boat saying and enjoying with that team. It just watches that it is going. Following that boat, another boat comes with a dead body. People are crying, wailing, etc. The bubble tree does not shed tears going there. It just watches. Like that, just like scenes after scenes, the whole in the mind, it is passing. I am just watching. So he said that be like that babul tree. See, everything is passing. Any meditational experience or whatever, let it happen. Don't get attached to it. Suppose you have a bliss, ananda. Oh, immediately we will get bliss. But from next day onward, I will have that bliss, I will have that. You are getting involved. There was ananda. You see that there was ananda. Let it go. If you get attached, then you are gone. Then this Sakshi Bhumi will not be there. Now, this is our Atma. And this is the Swabhava. This is the Swabhava means this is the Bhava of our real identity. That it reveals everything without getting attached to anything. That is why it always remains unaffected. That unaffectation comes from here. So if we practice this Atma Bhava, Adhyatma Bhava, then also we will have this unaffectedness. We will be able to suffer a lot, we will be able to enjoy a lot without getting overwhelmed by the enjoyment, without getting overwhelmed by the suffering. Both we will embrace with welcome attitude. So this is called the Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam. What I said is called actually in 17th chapter, you will find Bhava Samshuddhi. Their tapas is being described as far as I remember. Shall I find out just a minute? 17th chapter where the three kinds of tapas is... In three kinds of tapas, one is Shariram Tapa Uchyate, that is 17th chapter, 14th verse. Then Vangmayam Tapa Uchyate, 15th verse. Then in the 17th chapter, 16th verse, they are talking about the Tapo Manasam Uchyate. Tapo Manasam Uchyate. What is the mental tapas, mental austerity? Now we are talking about Mananat Trayatiti mantra. I started from there. So all the austerity, everything will have to be internal austerity. If you want the Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam, it cannot be fasting, it cannot be standing on one leg, it cannot be standing in 5 fires or doing this austerity, that austerity. They are all shariram, they are all physical austerity. The realization of the self will dawn in our mind and intelligence. So the tapas has to be in the mind and intelligence level. We must understand that. So he says, Mana prasada saumyatvam maunam atma vinigraha bhava samshuddhirityeta tapo manasam uchyate. It's a very important verse. If you keep in mind, all the tapas is spoken of here. What is needed for progressing in spirituality. What is that? Mana prasadaha. Everybody will fail there itself. Mana prasadaha means placidity of the mind. The mind face should never become long like a vulture. Always a cheerfulness, a placidity of the mind, whether it is dukkha or sukha. In dukkha I am not asking you to smile in dukkha, but the deep dukkha, you will shed tears, but the face will look beautiful. Placidity will be there. Why I am saying beautiful? When we are wailing and crying, the face does not look beautiful. Whenever we are selfish, whenever our mind is small, the face looks ugly. To us at least. It is not, we don't go by the model beauty. The nose बहुत sharp है, आंखें बहुत लंबी लंबी है, सब कुछ मिला के face क्या है? What is that shloka? Mukham chandradalakaram. The face is like moon. Vachaha chandana shitalam. Speaking so sweetly that as if honey is showered from the Antaram banhi santaptam. But inside it is fire, everything is in fire. Trividham dushta lakshanam. Trividham means all three together, not one. If the face is like moon, it is not a dushta lakshanam. Trividham, they said, that the face is moon-like, beautiful. The words are sweet, nectarine words coming out, but the anta banni santaptam, it is fire. These three together, trividham dushta lakshanam. So, mana prasadaha, mind will always remain placid. Saumyatvam. Saumyatvam also is a poise of the mind. It has come from Soma, I think, from moon, most probably. I think. It is from Soma, the gentleness, contented, a contented feeling. We are never contented. But a real spiritual person, whether he has anything or not, he will be contented. Maunam. Now, how the Maunam is becoming a mental tapas? Because Maunam, generally we feel that no, we don't speak. It is not that. Mental tapas, when they are speaking about Maunam, means there are not disturbing thoughts in the mind. The mind is remaining calm. Not full of always agitating thoughts. The mind should remain calm. Keeping the mind calm. Not getting agitated by so much of desires, raga, dvesha, etc., ambition, this and that. Atma vinigraha. Yesterday I explained, yesterday or day before, Atma vinigraha? Yesterday, no? I explained in detail. It does not mean torturing oneself. I think in the book that might have been written. Torturing or punishing oneself. No. It means having mastery over oneself. Because we are slave to the circumstances, we are slave to the situation, we are slave to the objective world. That has to be the whole order. You remember my diagram. The whole order has to be inverted. We have to be under the control of the Atma Vashyir Vidheya Atma, Prasadam Adhigacchati. There also you compare how the prasada comes. Ragadvesha viyukta istu vishayan indriyashcharan Atma Vashyir Vidheya Atma, Prasadam Adhigacchati. He attains the prasada, who is under the discipline given by who is always anchored to his Atma and is going in harmony with that, with the breath of the soul, the other day I said, with the inner harmony, in tune with the infinite, whatever you may say, that gives that Atma Vinigraha, that is always remaining master of oneself, not becoming slave to the situation, slave to the world. Then they said, Bhava Samshuddhi iti etat. This Bhava Samshuddhi is what I discussed today. What is Bhava Samshuddhi? Samshuddhi means Samyak Shuddhi, just not purification, but absolute purification. That is, you change the mindset completely, purify the mindset and make it like soul, universal, liberal, untouched, unaffected by anything at all. This Bhava Samshuddhi we do in spirituality by constant contemplation of the soul. This is what is Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam. Because what is this Adhyatma-Jnana? It is only speaking about this uniformity, oneness, unfragmentedness. So constantly giving the mind this support, constantly interacting with this concept, the mind becomes like the soul. And this is the Adhyatma practice. Now here you have to judge whether you have progressed or not. You can find out, suppose you take a test. 3 years ago, I used to get very much affected when something was happening like this. But nowadays I find that I don't get affected. I can take to things much easier. Or earlier, if somebody was sick, children were sick, or somebody had some difficulty, I used to get absolutely so anxious, fearful and all. Now I don't get like that. I can remain poised. So it is all for us to judge whether I am improving in unaffectedness, in universality, in a liberal mindset, whether my internal I am feeling internal strength. Whether I feel always light or I feel heavy, all these things we have to judge looking at our own mind. The first step I said, change your focus from outward incidents to the response of the mind within. That will set in the spiritual path. That earlier our focus was always outward. Now that focus has become inward and you start looking within. Once you start that, then all these things slowly you can do. So it should be a path on which every step you can check whether I am getting the result or not. If you don't get the result, question yourself. My practice is not proper. If I have learned about Viveka and I have developed Viveka, Viveka means Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka, that soul is permanent, other things are impermanent, etc. And that is not producing any vairagya in the mind. I am still clinging to what I like. I am hating what I dislike. Hatred has grown further. Clinging has gone more, what it was 10 years ago. Then throw away your Viveka. That means you have not practiced Viveka. Have a relook at your Viveka, that what I have done wrong. If Viveka is practiced properly and if I have developed the discrimination, it must result in Vairagya. Otherwise the Viveka is wrong. This way we have to test our sadhana and find out how we are progressing, where we are lacking. That is why they say Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam. Every moment this jnana has to be put in the crucible, tested in the crucible, put on fire and tested and always to be taken. Then Ram se ragi raho bhai, banat bani jai. Ram se lagi raho bhai, banat bani jai. That jnana, that is what I said, that jnana is initially, it is a sadhana. This is the jnana sadhana we have been talking for so many days now. It is a sadhana, it is a pursuit. Now when you pursue it, what is happening? You are becoming Atma, the jnana, which is the knowledge itself. Banata bani jai. If we keep it Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam, then automatically as we proceed with our sadhana, we will become that. So the sadhana becomes the siddhi. And the sadhaka also becomes the siddhi. Everything gets fused in knowledge and knowledge alone. So the next comes Tattva-Jnanartha Darshanam. That means always being aware of what is the artha, means the object of this Tattva-Jnana. It is not to become a pandit of the Vedas and Upanishads, not to know 120 Upanishads and what is there in Kena Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka, everything I have mastered, I can teach others. It is Tattva-Jnana in a way, but no, the artha of Tattva-Jnana is liberation. Is this, that becoming the Atma. If that is not happening, then we should see to it that my sadhana does not go in vain. That is, Tattva-Jnana has not produced its artha. We were at one time learning some Upanishad from one Maharaj who had come from, who was actually an accountant in Kharagpur IIT, but after his mother passed away at 42 or so, he was waiting for his mother to pass away. So, after his mother passed away, he went to Rishikesh and embraced sannyasa. And then after getting sannyasa, he came back to pay obeisance to his teachers from whom he had learned shastras and all. He had learned from a very erudite Pandit, Bhutnath Pandit, whose books we always follow in Upanishads and all. We follow his interpretations and Anmaya and all. So he went to his master, Acharya, where he had studied, and prostrated before him, telling that it is because of your teaching only I could come to this stage and I have taken up sannyasa. So the Acharya was very happy. He was so happy, almost shedding tears, and he hugged him and then he prostrated before him, saying that you are prostrating before me, but actually I should prostrate before you. Because I have taught you Upanishad, I have taught you Vedanta, but the Artha, the result of Vedanta has not flowered in me, it has flowered in you. Because the Artha, the object of Vedanta is to remove the worldliness. You have got it so early and you have taken up sannyasa. But in my case, I could not leave. I am still in the family, I am still in the worldly way. He was humble, he is a great Pandit, so he was equally humble. So, Artha, that Artha means what is the Artha of this Tattva-Jnana? Tattva-Jnana is not a theoretical knowledge. The Artha is that the knowledge should become an Ikshana. Ikshana, you know? It's an inner vision of the Buddhi. Bhagavad Gita, there is a shloka. Sarva bhutastham atmanam sarva bhutani cha atmani ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshanaha. Ikshate means not pashyate. He doesn't see that. But it is an ikshana, means it's a vision of the buddhi, of his prajna. He sees that everything, everywhere I am and everything is in me. Sarva bhutastham atmanam sarva bhutani cha atmani ikshate yoga yuktatma. He is sarvatra samadarshana. He has the equal vision. This ikshana is the theoretical knowledge must get converted, get crystallized into this ikshana, where the reality shines by itself. It is called sahaja. See, when we are trying to understand these truths, we are applying our intelligence, effortful intelligence, trying to understand. This is effortful. But this will become a realized knowledge when it becomes sahaja. This is a very great statement we should remember. This is the difference between theoretical knowledge and realized knowledge. It should become sahaja. Sahaja means by itself, spontaneous. Initially, we may try to analyze and understand. It will help, but that is not the ultimate artha. The Tattva-Jnana, Artha Darshana, the object of Tattva-Jnana is finally to have this Sahaja Jnana. The Jnana should become Sahaja for him. See, in another place in Kathopanishad, at one point it is saying, Anoraniyan mahato mahiyan atmasya jantor nihito guhayam tamakratuhu pashyati vita shokaha dhatu prasadat mahimanam atmanaha. See, mahimanam atmanaha mahimanam pashyati. What is the mahima of the Atma? Mahima means the glory of the Atma. That Atma is all embracing, all full, never affected by anything, never tainted by anything. It is revealing everything all the time. Everything is revealed by it. It has no fragmentation, no division at all. These are all the mahima of Atma. Also, it says, Anoraniyan mahato mahiyan. It is smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest. Is there anything which is smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest? So naturally, it is not in the objective dunya, not in the objective world. In the world of object, either it is small or it is big. It is smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest. We are using the objective analysis saying that. But it is a contradiction we are putting forward so that our mind thinks that is there anything smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest. So the contradictions will get dissolved only when we find that it is the consciousness which is revealing the smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest also. And it is that consciousness. It is revealing the ugliest, it is revealing the most beautiful also. It is revealing the infinitude, it is revealing zero also. So, it is the consciousness which is not in the objective fold at all. Anoraniyan mahato mahiyan. But at the same time, asya jantor nihito guhayam. It is bigger than the even infinitude, because infinitude is also a concept in that Atma. But at the same time, you don't have to go to the sky or infinitude or infinity or anywhere to find out or to realize this Atma, because asya jantoho nihito guhayam. It is right there in the cavern of our heart. It is hidden in the cavern of our heart. Not only that, it is the I throughout the day we are using. That I itself, not knowing its dimension, real dimension, we are becoming small. It is that itself is that Atma. Asya jantor nihito guhayam. Tam akratuhu pashyati vita shokaha. Akratuhu means desireless. When we become desireless, vita shokaha, all the grief, when they are gone, we see its mahima. How? Dhatu prasadat mahiman dhatu prasadat mahimanam atmanaha. Tam akratuhu pashyati vita shokaha dhatu prasadat mahimanam atmanaha. This dhatu prasadat, because of this I mentioned this. What is this dhatu prasadat? Dhatu means the element of our being. Say our emotions, our mind, our intelligence and all other, whatever it is made of. Prasada of the dhatu means when all the elements of our being, they get purified. They become placid. Then this mahima of the Atma becomes, it shines in our own being. That becomes the ikshana of the buddhi. This is the Tattva-Jnanartha Darshanam. That what is the object of the Tattva-Jnana? It is not to master all the Upanishads and all the Vedas and become a Pandit. That is not the object of the Tattva-Jnana. The object of the Tattva-Jnana is to realize this truth and remain unaffected by anything happening in the world. There is no question, so I will proceed further. See, I wanted to tell you another thing from altogether different. It is from Patanjali Yoga Darshana, that how that helps us to get to this oneness, this Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam. I am focusing fully on that how we can make this Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam a reality. That is, in everyday pursuit, how we can make it work. In Patanjali Yoga Sutras also, that Yoga Sutras means they are aphoristic statements. In 4 statements, everything has been spoken of. It starts with Atha Yoganushasanam. Atha Yoga Anushasanam. Yoganushasanam. Atha means a lot. Atha means one who is fit for this. That is, we have to develop the fitness. This yoga is actually Raja Yoga. So, to become fit for that, we may have to do some asana, pranayama and all these things. They are done. It is assumed that he has done all the Hatha Yoga elements so that he is fit for practicing this. Or mind-wise also he has to be desireless, sadhana chatushtaya, whatever. That atha means the fitness is there to practice this yoga. Then yoga anusasanam. This yoga, what is this yoga? That we are always creating ourself, an image of ourself with the ego, with our coming out of the real identity. That is, we are separating our I from the real identity. In Mundaka Upanishad, it is beautifully discussed in terms of 2 birds. Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhaya. The 2 birds are sitting on the same tree. One is sitting on the top, another is sitting on a lower branch. The lower branch bird, around him, all the fruits and other things, leaves, etc. Also there are crows or so who will attack. Everything is there. Other bird sitting on the top of the tree, he has a comprehensive vision of everything. The Upanishad says that the lower bird is eating the fruits. Some fruits are good, some fruits are bitter. So it is undergoing the sukha dukkha according to what fruit it is eating. But the upper bird, it does not eat any fruit at all. It is looking at the lower bird, looking whatever is happening. The word they have used is abhichakashiti. Abhichakashiti. That means it's like Jagannatha Drishti. That Puri Jagannath, Kevali Drishti. not focused to anything at all, just a witness vision is like that, not getting involved in anything. When we have the non-involvement, that drishti will become abhichakashiti, like that. So that bird only sees. Now this lower bird, while enjoying this and all, enjoying and suffering all this, suddenly one day looks at the upper bird and thinks that, what is this? I am enjoying, suffering, undergoing all sorts of fears, changes, everything. But how this bird is always placid, prasada, always sitting there without anything. Actually, these two birds are not two birds. They are within us. We have got separated from that upper bird and thinking ourselves to be the lower bird and interacting with the world, undergoing all these things. But in us itself, that upper bird identity is also there. And Upanishad says that finally it looks at him and then sees that what is this self-mastery that this bird has, the upper bird has. He is overwhelmed with the mastery of this bird and finally goes closer and closer to the bird and gets identified with that. Actually, the two birds are within us. They are not really two separate birds. So he says yoga is when our wrong identity, false identity is gone and we become one. That false identity gets fused to the real identity. We are deliberately keeping ourselves away from that. That is the viyoga. We are suffering because of the viyoga we have created. Viyoga means the opposite of yoga. Now, anushasanam means following a discipline which is to be observed, given by the acharya, or following that. Anu means following. Shasana means discipline. That means some discipline is given which has to be followed. So the first sutra is Atha Yoganushasanam. Now comes the next sutra. The second sutra itself says that Yogaschitta Vritti Nirodha. That is, what is yoga? Yogaschitta Vritti Nirodha. That means yoga is the state when there is no chitta vritti. As we have just now discussed, that even Brahmakara vritti also will not be there. Chitta vritti means any thought, any concept, any movement in the mind, in the consciousness is a vritti. No vritti at all. So right in the beginning it has defined, this is called the yoga, because the vritti identifies ourselves from the real identity. But for a knower, it will not happen, that they are coming to it. Normally, the vritti, because our focus is always on the vritti, we are disidentified from our real nature. The third one says, Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. These are all aphoristic, beautiful statements. Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. What is this yoga? He is explaining. That yoga is chitta vritti nirodha, all right. But what is happening at that point? He says the drashta, that is the seer, is remaining in his own real swarupa, real nature or form. It is not a form, but in its truth. Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. His avasthiti is in swarupa, the seer in its own. That means nothing to be seen is there. We call one a seer when there is something to be seen. There is a seeing also involved. The vision is involved. There is a knower when there is something to be known. And there is a process of knowledge also. In this case, it is not there. When there is no vritti, the seer and seen division is not there. So that is why he is saying seer is in his own real, we call it swarupa, in real rupa. Actually, it is not rupa, not a form we see. It is his own rupa. Then the fourth is the most important here for all of us. Vritti sarupyam mitaratra. That means when the vritti nirodha is not there, this vritti nirodha is same as samadhi, as we say. So when it is out of the samadhi, when samadhi is not there, nirvikalpa samadhi is not there, When there is not vritti nirodha means there are vrittis. When there are vrittis, then what happens? Vritti sarupyam mitaratra. In all other states, the seer is having the vritti sarupya. This is extremely important. Try to meditate on it. That means the whole world which he is seeing, either the external world of objects or internal world of mind, it is all the vritti in his mind. Unless those vrittis are there in the mind, we will not know the world. Is it not so? We have discussed so many times this. So actually the seer is becoming the vritti sarupya. That it is taking the rupa of the vritti. So the seer has become the world. World is the real perceived world. The world we are perceiving is in our mind, in our consciousness. Those are the vrittis. So even if you see the enemy, you know that so long you have been looking for your Lord here, there, when will you come, when will you come? But here, even the enemy is appearing, that is your Lord. Your Lord is same as you. And He is appearing before you in all the manners. Whatever world object you see, it is nothing other than your own vritti, that the Atma's vritti, the Lord's, the Bhagavan का रूप ही है. जो कुछ भी देखते हैं, कहीं भी हम भगवान को एक मुहूर्त के लिए भी खो नहीं सकते हैं. कैसे खोएंगे? कहाँ खोएंगे? है ही नहीं, कहीं खो नहीं सकते. वही है चारों तरफ. समझते हैं क्या? See how beautifully in a small, this is the beauty of our Sanskrit, but the beauty of our literature. You cannot even imagine the kind of greatness these people had. Just one half a sentence, vritti sarupyam itaratra. That you cannot miss God anywhere at all. He is there in all the forms, whatever you are seeing. They are all in the Chidakasa. As I say, that the Bahyakasha, the world, is nothing but Chittakasha. We are only seeing and interacting with the Chittakasha, which is appearing in our mind. And that Chittakasha is nothing but it is appearing in the Chidakasha, the sphere of consciousness. That consciousness is becoming the world, becoming everything. That consciousness is my enemy. That consciousness is my dearest friend. That consciousness is my Rasgulla. That consciousness is my bitter neem. Everything. You cannot miss Him anywhere at all. So whether you do cooking, whether you beat your enemy, kill your enemy, you cannot miss anywhere at all. This is called Swagata Bheda. This name you should remember. This term you should remember. Swagata Bheda. Swagata means in itself. When something is in itself. Suppose you write in water, you write camera, you write dog. Both are water only. Like that in consciousness you create a God, you create a dog, you create a building, you create the whole world of different colors. These are all consciousness alone. So the bheda is not a different item. That bheda is not there. It is swagata bheda. It is in itself appearing as many. The same thing appearing as many. So if you think of this swagata bheda again and again, will it not bring in the Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam in you? Whenever the mind is creating differential vision, you have to bring in this non-differential ikshana, not vision. In the eyes you will see all the colors. But your ikshana the inner vision should be always considering everything as swagata bheda of my most beloved Lord or my most beloved Atma or the Self. Okay. So खोल कर बताए हैं. This is what spirituality is. If you pursue, be a businessman, look into this business, do the business, and leave me to my own business. Prabuddham vimuktam vikaradihinam prasannam sada nityabodhaswarupam param nishchalam nirgunam sarvarupam Bhajeham sadanusmarami pranomi Prabuddham vimuktam vikaradihinam Prasannam sada nityabodhasvarupam param nishchalam nirgunam sarvarupam bhajeham sadanusmarami pranami.